welcome back to Master Your Life. I'm Kate McKay, and I'm so glad you've joined me today. And today I'm very excited to introduce my guest, Riana Milne. Welcome.
Hi, Kate. Hi, everybody. So happy to be here.
Super psyched you're here. Now, of course, she's got an incredible bio, but I just want to say thank you, first of all, for coming on. I know you're really busy, but you're doing such important work. And when I read your information, I was like, I have got to have her on. Just a little bit about you. You're selected as one of the top coaches to follow in 2022 by Wealth Insider magazine, and is also featured in Forbes and Spotlight on Business magazine. She's a certified global life, love, trauma recovery, and mindset coach, advanced diet, clinical trauma, and addictions professional, and #1 bestselling author. She's also a host of a podcast and super fit and super fabulous. And there is so much more we can discuss in regards to your bio, but let's get after it in the beautiful work that you do here. Sure. So I would love to know, because you mentioned that there was an early traumatic experience that happened to you in your teen years that you knew didn't resonate. There was something that happened. Can you tell the guests what happened?
Yeah. Well, I heal childhood trauma. Most people think they don't have childhood trauma. It's like it has to be a big event, like a major car accident and they lose a limb, or they were born with a medical condition. But that's not the case. That's what we call big T trauma. Little t trauma is ongoing, enduring incidences that happen to you that erode away at your confidence, your self-esteem. So when I developed the childhood trauma checklist and was doing all my research on this, other than working with clients of trauma, I had to look at what traumas do I have. Now, there were the ongoing traumas of being bullied because I was a tall, skinny, nerdy girl and had big glasses. And then I won a modeling scholarship. I'm like, hey, I can be skinny here and that's okay. And then I begged my mom for contacts. But to me, the most traumatic thing that happened to me, I was 16 and I lost my best friend. He was killed by a drunk driver. That was Michael. And I had asked my mom if I could go to a counselor to help handle the grief. And she said, no one in this family will ever go to a counselor. It was considered shameful back then. So in my defiance, I said, then I will grow up and become one. So I put my foot in the sand. I said, that's where I'm going. This is what I want to be. And then I had to find my own way of healing. So I started reading the library books of the masters. Of course, there was no Amazon back then. You go to the library. So I was reading Wayne Dyer, the Dalai Lama, Deepak Chopra, Marianne Williamson, and the whole Course of Miracles philosophy. So there was so much. Tony Robbins, Napoleon Hill, like really great masters of how to be successful and how to get over hard transitional times. So that was my mindset work. I started at age 16.
Powerful.
And then by my 20s, I ended up actually getting hired at a university teaching professional development, how to start a business, how to do marketing and PR. And I knew all this stuff from the masters. And I went to Penn State for broadcast communications, so I knew marketing then. And I also had a fabulous job as a teenager in Philadelphia. I was working for the top radio station, WFIL radio, as a boss chick model. So I learned promotional skills going out into the world. But it started very early that I was teaching what I was learning. And I just loved teaching and seeing people grow and learn and get excited about that process. Then at 26, I had a model and talent agency in school. So I was teaching mindset there. But I also had another tragic loss of another best friend that was from Penn State. She was murdered by her boyfriend. So at that time, I turned to one of my internships was helping women at a domestic violence shelter. So I learned all those tips about what is toxic and how to keep women safe and, how do they get themselves into this? Why don't they leave? The whole psychology behind that was fascinating to me.
It's a mindset. That's the part that people don't understand. It's so crazy and amazing and so complicated.
And it's with the norms of what they grew up with. So if they grew up in a traumatic home and domestic violence was normal, there's like, well, this is what happened to my mom and dad and they stayed married, so they must have been happy. But no, it's very tragic. And, to lose a good friend, I tried to get her to leave this guy and I was 1 year ahead of her. And then the following year she ends up dead. I work in the memory and the spirit of Michael and Corinne. That's how I base my work all along.
So you grew up I'm one of 9 kids. I know you're one of 5.
Yes.
So, and we're both from the East Coast, you from Jersey and me from Massachusetts. But can you describe that? Because I'm number 6 of 9. I know, were you number 3 or 4 of the
4? 5? And in
4.
Between 2 brothers. So I have a ton of male energy. Yeah.
And your mom didn't want a girl.
Oh, I haven't told you that. Geez, I told you a lot on that questionnaire, didn't I, Kate? Yes, she had told me when I was pregnant, I really wanted a little girl. It's my first child. And she goes, oh, you don't want a girl, you want a boy. Like, I was so disappointed when I found out you were a girl. Back then, they didn't have pregnancy testing. And she goes, oh, I'm going to have to go back and try again to get my boy. So, I mean, it was obvious as I was growing up, she really favored my brothers. And it's not their fault. I'm really close to my brothers, always have been. But it was very noticed. I was a very shy child and very inward with my feelings. And I became a writer. I started journaling. And it's funny, when I won the high school senior for best senior in English writing, she says, well, why would you win? And I'm like, well, Mom, I am on the newspaper. I submitted 200 poems. They got published, So
what's that about? Because I just think that's because we're similar in age, right?
Yeah.
And did she think that just the fact that you were beautiful was your path? You couldn't be both?
No, I wasn't pretty as a kid. I was really awkward. I mean, when I started modeling for the radio station, I grew into that.
Sure.
No, it's just, the Milnes were all about sports, swimming, water polo. It was funny. When I went to Penn State, I swam for the team and I didn't tell her because I didn't want her to push practice down my throat, because I was working for the radio station. If I had a job, I'd rather do a job working with entertainers and go to swim practice. But I'd swim in the meets if I could. And I won a state record, like a college record. It came out in the newspaper, Milne wins the 100 breaststroke record. She goes, I didn't know you're on the swim team. I'm like, exactly.
That's
so I did it my way,
Right.
So it was like just commanding what I desired to do and doing it my way and keeping my balance that worked for me. So those were all early skills. I don't resent anything. As she was old and soon to pass, she said, you're my child I'm proudest of the most. And I laughed. I said, really? Why is that? And she said, well, you were the only one with a master's degree. So she really valued education and working hard. And if we did that, that's where we could finally, my first compliment came when my book, Love Beyond Your Dreams, Break Free of Toxic Relationships to Have the Love You Deserve, which became a #1 bestseller on Amazon, got in the Barnes & Noble bookstores. So at that point, she goes, I'm taking your book to all the card parties to show my lady friends, about your book. So
isn't that part of trauma?
She learned to say, I love you.
Yeah.
This is what we call trauma #2, about verbal messaging. Did we hear compliments? Did we hear I love you? Like, we did not grow up hearing those things. So, but I was able to teach her with my own psychology and mindset and learning that even though she didn't hear it, her kids need to hear it. And I had the first grandchild at 24. And I said, I want my daughter to hear this, Mom. Like, this is important that you say you love us. We know you do, but say the words so you'll feel good about that. So I taught her to come around and be a much kinder, more gentler, loving woman and mother. As I got more educated, I was able to help her. And now I see my clients doing it for their parents. So it's
so beautiful. Lovely. Well, talk about 2 things that come to mind from you: tenacity and grace.
Yeah, we got that.
I mean, but
I'm
what
silly,
is that about? Because those coexist in you, pretty grounded in a very deep faith of yourself, a very deep confidence. Were you always that way? I
became very spiritually based in my teens as well. I didn't talk about it much because most teenagers don't talk about faith. I didn't like formal church. As a matter of fact, my brother and I used to cut church, pick up the program, say, yeah, we went. But then I take my bike and go up to the little chapel that only had 12 rows and sit there and talk to God. So I had this very private, personal relationship of faith. In 1993, I also became an interfaith minister. So I'm also Reverend Riana, and was one of the busiest booked ministers in the South Jersey Shore area, doing weddings for all the casinos and the wedding hall. So I was fun to work with and down to earth. And then I was a writer. So I wrote all original copy for their weddings. So they were always really beautiful and very personal. So that's a big part of my life. And with my research, I also learned faith is a huge part of healing. So when I'm working with people with childhood and love trauma, they have to have some form of spirituality. And I don't call it religion because religion is man-made. It is when you're spiritual, a way of being 24/7. It's a way, the moral code and values of how you live your life, right? So it's very different than religion.
Isn't it wonderful though, that now that can be a conversation? I know that straight on therapists can't really talk about it.
Well, that's why I'm a coach.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm a certified coach, so I can
so where's God in this?
What works.
I know.
Yeah.
I get that. So totally true. But when we think about the story of the journey that you've gone through as a woman, and I used to say, well, whatever, I can do whatever I want, and kind of discounted the pressure that was actually put on society. So for me at 21, working out in a gym, that was all men. There were no women squatting people. Yeah. There were no people bench pressing people. Now I'm like, I go into the gym and I'm like, these women have no idea. Right. Yeah. So it's finding that balance. And you also competed in beauty pageants and was like a runner-up for.
I was a runner-up, Miss America, Pennsylvania.
Yes.
And a runner-up for Mrs. America.
Oh,
so I did the beauty pageant thing, but I didn't like that it felt so phony because I'm a really down-to-earth person.
Right. I understand. It's playing a role.
Beauty is so inside of us, not just this exterior. That's just what I call the icing on the cake when people are out there dating. You know, don't go with chemistry. Oh, he's hot, she's hot. Yes, I'm falling in love. No, it's like, who are they in the inside? Is the beauty there on the inside?
Right. But what was that journey for you? I mean, I think probably because you had the athletic mindset. Do you think that really helped you because you understood grit and tenacity through sport?
No, not at all. I actually hated team sports.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
but I'm not just saying
I love
being
dance.
In your body.
I love dance, and I did classes in dance. And then during the disco era, I actually competed in dance with the man I married and met at Penn State. And we just did it for fun, but we ended up getting second in the Pennsylvania state dance-offs, you know?
Right.
It's funny. My mom came to that and she goes, I didn't know you could dance like this. I'm like, well, you never asked to see it.
Oh my gosh, your mom.
So I'm like triple spins, you know, dip right, dip left. And
oh my gosh, you continue to blow your mother away. Even now, I'm sure. So when you're thinking about that, so I mean, athletic mindset of body consciousness more so, it seemed like that you had that.
Well, I think it was the modeling. You know, we learned if you show up at modeling school chewing gum, you're kicked out. And I won a scholarship. It was $500. That was a lot for our family. I was very grateful. And I actually ended up teaching for John Robert Powers. And then I opened up my own talent school, competing with John Robert Powers, and closed them within 3 months.
That's my girl.
In Erie, Pennsylvania. But and it's funny, the owner called me and he's there. I just want to know who you are, Riana. Like, you opened up and you just blew us away. And I said, Gary, this is Terry Milne. Like, my full name's Terriana. I taught for you. He goes, wait, my Philly girl because I was there at like 13 years old, ended up teaching for him at 16, 17. I said, yes, I just go by Riana now. And he goes, oh my gosh, why didn't you coach for me? Why didn't you teach for me at my school? I said, I went down there and they told me I was too old. I was 26 years old. And I said, really? Watch me. And I turn around. It's mindset, Kate. It was like, I'm opening up my own thing. You know, I went there to get some part-time money and work part-time to help support my family. She says, I'm too old. And I just laughed. I said, watch me. Within 6 months of opening, with my first month's rent, I won educational excellence with the International Model and Talent Association. And then within the year, I won the Model and Talent School of the Year.
What drives you, Riana?
I know what it is, actually. I had seen Michael die at age 16. The question I asked myself is, how much time do I have to do what I want to do, to see what my dreams are, to make a difference in the world? Like, I really knew, like, we're all God's kids. We all have a purpose for being here. And I didn't know how much time I would have. And then seeing Corinne go so early in my life, I'm like, oh my gosh, how much time do I have? So it was always like having faith that I could do what I dreamed to do. I could never get a loan. At 26, I was bankrupt. I married the man from Penn State. Had my two daughters who are absolutely amazing, very successful themselves. I grew them up learning mindset. But then, he had some really bad business choices. And then he also frauded $200,000 from my mother. So I already had this difficult mother become 10 times difficult. And I took on that debt. I said, Mom, I can't get it out of him. I'm divorcing him. So I left with nothing. I ended up having to pay child support to the same man. And I said, I'll pay you back. It's going to take me some time, but I'll work on it. It took me 16 years because back then, 24, single mom, two daughters. And I was in a house by 27 years old. I had my daughters in a house. By 30, I bought a second home, remodeled the whole thing as general contractor. And that was my model and talent school in Erie. I came up with the idea I'll have a modeling camp and did a camp at a college campus. I was making $14,000 in a week. So, it was all mindset, creativity, and the faith I could do it. Not getting a loan from a bank because I couldn't. I was bankrupt at 26. $750,000 he put us in. Plus, I had the $200 to pay my mom. So it was just, if you have the mindset for success is what I call it. And that's on my book, Live Beyond Your Dreams, From Fear and Doubt to Personal Power, Purpose, and Success. Because I had a lot of doubts as a teen. I had a lot of fear, and it's just like confronting each one and saying, I can do this. And then being smart, I lived by a lesson my father taught me too. It's called the 8 Ds for success. He says, babe, back then, if you have the 5 Ds, you can do anything. But I've added a few to my dad's lesson. So the first one I added was decide. Decide what you really want to do. Mull it over, think about it, pray on it, put it in your meditations, like, what is it? And then decide, I am doing this. Second is determination, dedication, devotion, which means spiritual devotion and faith you can do it. Dare to dream and dream big. So dream big, baby. Dare to dream. The discipline to do it. The drive when you're exhausted. People are like, well, how long did you work on your book? I said every day I'd wake up at 7. I'd work till exhaustion. That's called drive. Right? You're an author, weekends, 3 days in a row. That was my writing time, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Have a nap in between, like 4 o'clock, get up and write again. That's drive, right? And is there one more?
8. Yeah, what's the last one after drive? We have decide.
No, that's the first one.
Determination, dedication, devotion, dare to dream big, discipline, drive.
And I had drive. Yeah. So I guess I named them all. But anyway, that's something my clients all learn. That's part of mindset. So many people have still what we call that fear-based negative mindset that comes from their childhood trauma wounds that they have not healed yet. And it's my job to heal that. That's first what we do. Recognize what it is that's holding you back. Let's start retraining the mind and the subconscious into full conscious awareness. Let's create the life you desire. That's module 2. Like, what is it you dream to do? Let's lay it out, map it up. 3 goals a day, 3 goals a week, 3 goals a month in personal and in business. So there's always direction for every day. You're not wasting any day. This is what we call living consciously, and then having some routine in there that's healthy, which is a little bit of exercise. I meditate every day, have my protein shake and vitamins, and then I work in my fun time. Weekend is my fun time because you got to have that or you resent your work. So it is about a lot of balance, mindset, spirituality. And then part 2 is all the exact skills people need to know exactly what is an emotionally healthy, evolved, and conscious relationship. Evolved meaning being your highest and your best self. Because when we love ourselves and we're out there with our energy, it is so easy to meet people. So for women, when they say there's no good guys left, I'm like, seriously? Like, Kate, I was just on a singles cruise, and actually I am now going to be doing singles events. I was speaking on that cruise. They said, we'll give you 10 minutes to speak. So I got up and I said a few things. Some of the researchers are like, oh my God, we want to hear more. But the show is going to start. So the cruise director said, will you be a part of us and speak on all our trips? I'm like, yes. And I said, what do I have to do? I love travel. That's one of my fun things. So we are now working together. I'll be announcing some trips for singles. But meanwhile, there's a lot of women on there. It's like 160 singles. So a lot of women say, there's not enough men on here. And it's talking at dinner and getting all nasty. You can see that even the nastiness on the face from across the room. And I'm walking in, I got 4 guys coming up to me. Hey, Riana, you doing this? You doing that? Let's dance later. Let's, and it's like, it's so easy because it's energy. And if you like yourself and you like who you are and your life's together and you know what to do, you don't need, to have more men in the room, to have a lot of men interested in you. That is the bottom line.
Have you picked up your copy of my best-selling book, Claim Your Inner Badass? Available on Amazon now. Go grab your copy.
Preach it, Riana. Preach it.
Yeah,
Riana, I have a question for you, though. This is really important because I get that perception. I've heard my whole life, Kate, you're so sexy. You're so sexy. And I had this piece of me that was like, but I'm smart too.
Yeah.
I'm smart too. Wait, I'm smart too. But I got more than that. Right. And so I diminished me, Riana. I diminished me. And it's taken a lot. It took losing my son in 2017 for me to realize and let go and allow myself to be seen, that I had nothing to prove. And I've had that ton of success. So I'm just being very transparent with the audience about saying that it is the perception that I had that I was too much and I was uncomfortable embracing the power of my feminine energy. And I think that that's why I wrote Claim Your Inner Hottie. And I'm saying it funny because I'm like, everyone has an inner hottie. And you know what an inner hottie is? It's your longing to be loved, to be seen, to be living on task and in purpose from your heart, from your body, from your soul, and leaning into why you are here. Yes, please. Yes, please.
Yeah. It is self-love. It is self-love and the joy of life every day. Waking up knowing life is a gift. What are you going to do with it today? How can I inspire or help someone today?
What's getting in people's
way? And living your purpose. You have a purpose and you're putting it out there in the world. When we have a purpose and we're living that, like we love every day what we do, because 100%. It's helping people.
So the disruptions are what? And the solution is what? You've talked about them. I know you have some incredible products and services that are available on this topic. Her list is so long. I am so excited to have you on because people need you, Riana. They need you.
And
women and men need you, not just women.
No, I just had another man get married. I just saw his wedding and he's going to be on my podcast.
Yes. So what's the disruption? Where's the place that we can disrupt belief?
Well, it's coming from childhood trauma. And when we don't heal that, it leads us into love trauma. And I had 2 love traumas. So I've been through it. My life was not easy. The first one was the father of my daughters. And then I had a second one later in life. And I'm like, what is going on? Because what I'm attracting is not what I want. And how can I recognize what's emotionally healthy and what's not? Why is he emotionally not healthy? Because when I had a triple master's in psychology, I graduated summa cum laude with honors, right? 4.0. So I'm like, okay, what is it? And that term childhood trauma was not in my master's classes at all. So I was one of the first people talking on this in 2012, and people are telling me I'm crazy. Oh, that's not in the DSM-4 for psychologists. You're making it up. No, I'm really not, but you can feel the way you want. And then slowly over time, now it's a big buzzword. Oh, childhood trauma. Everyone's talking about it. I'm like, I know when I finally heard Oprah talk about it on TV, it was like on 60 Minutes, I was jumping up and down. Yay, if she says the word, it's real, it exists. She finally gets it because she said, I had no idea that my struggles were affecting how I was living my life. So, and in such a difficult, demanding way from my childhood traumas. So, it was an educational curve the first 10 years that I was teaching this, like, this is real, this exists. This is how we fix it.
So it's the healing and understanding and the knowingness and having the light and the awareness so that we can let in the love. And I love that you bridge the gap, that you talk about the healing to experience love.
Exactly.
It's not just if you heal, then what?
No, you got to know what to do when you get out that door to go date.
Exactly.
And it's not what we were taught. It's not in the romance novels. It's not in the movies. Like, oh, he's hot. I want to be in love with him. No, there's just so much more. There's questions you have to be asking. There's values and qualities, and the same journey. Do you have the same journey in mind that for your future? And so many people just settle on what we call the requirements because they want love in their life, and then they're not happy. So there is much to learn in that as well. And
What
my Live and Love
percentage of
books or
people?
sister books are meant to go together. One is
Right.
on mindset, one is on healthy love, right? And
Oh, I can't wait
recognizing
to read them.
toxic love. Yeah.
What percentage of people do you think are living authentically in their sense of self and their
They're
relationship?
saying about 5 to 6% of people live in full conscious awareness. That's about it.
Yeah. And I know. I sometimes would say like 20% or 10%. I'm like, yeah, okay, maybe I think it's way less.
It is.
But-
It is way less. I mean, last
So-
I did research on it was 4%. I think it's higher now because there's more of us teaching conscious
Yes.
awareness, but it's still, it's a practice, right? It's not that easy. When I start changing the mindsets, the fear-based negative thinking of people, they're like, oh my God. And I might want to teach this real quick, Kate.
Please.
It's a lesson from Buddhism, right? The yin yang symbol. I'll hold it up. Oh, wow. Okay. I hate when that happens. Well, everyone knows that yin yang symbol, right? There it is. This one, right? The paisley, the black is on the left side with a white dot. The right side is light with a black dot. So I teach this for people to understand what it is that I do. So we call it living in the dark side or living in the light. We are always striving to live in the light, think in the light, respond in the light. So living in the dark side, you are reactive. This is where anger, jealousy, control, addiction, murder, anything that's dark in life, anxiety, depression, all that is on the dark side. Living in the light is joy and peace and confidence and contentment and love and laughter and, living your purpose, everything that makes you joyful. Okay. That's living in the light. So in the dark side, you're reactive in your responses. In the light, you're proactive. Our thought is, what can I do? Because in Buddhism, we call this the Earth School, and we are here to get challenges. So people living in the dark side say, oh, why me? Why does this always happen to me? That's that victim mentality. Okay, we don't have that. That's victim mentality is I can't do it. I give up. Light, it's like, what can I do? What 1 to 2 solutions can I find? I'm supposed to be challenged. Okay, it's a challenge. No big deal. I'll learn from this. And we also say there's no failure, only feedback, right? So it's a whole different way of looking at things. We call the dark side the unconscious side that acts out. The light, we're doing real conscious choices. Before we write, speak, text someone, call someone, we're thinking, what do we want to say? It's uneducated on mindset in the dark side. In the light, we're definitely educated with mindset tools. That's what I teach. So it's where anxiety and depression lie. And then light side is where we have hope, spiritual faith, and trust that we can do what our life desires. And on the dark side, they often say no to themselves. I can't do it, or no, it's not going to work for me. They just feel stuck. They don't grow. And that is what brings on a lot of unhappiness. They're afraid to go out and date. They want someone, but they're afraid that they're going to be ghosted or hurt again. Our side is like, say yes. Like the singles cruise. You want to go on a singles cruise? Yeah, I just broke up with someone. Yeah, I'll go. Why not? And then I said, hey, do you need a speaker? If there's any drama on the ship, come get me, because that's what I do. I handle love drama and trauma and everything else. And she laughs. She goes, well, that's great to know that you're there. And I said, if you need me to speak, I'll speak for you. And then I did. And then another opportunity came, like be a part of my travel group. And now I have another travel group asking me to speak. So, we learn to say yes to the possibilities of life because we only have one life to live. And we learn to go for it. And when you're living in that kind of energy and momentum and laughter and joy, people love that, especially people of the opposite sex. So This is what I'm saying. When the energy is right, it's so easy. Like my people are the choosers. We don't wait around to be chosen by someone. No, we're out living life. We choose, oh, I like him. So that is our philosophy of dating and meeting people and entering into a love relationship when we choose to.
So
and some
powerful.
people are building a business, and it's okay to choose at that time. No, next 6 months, it's going to be total focus, the 8 Ds on building this career. Then I'll go out and date. Our society always says women have to have a guy or they're not successful. No, choose when you want to have a guy. Maybe you do this season, maybe you don't the next 6 months. That's fine. But you're living your joy. Creating something, like creating a business is having a baby, right? So dedicate your time and energy to what you truly love. Don't live by the societal norms that say you have to have this or you have to do that. Create your own joy.
So drop the mic. Drop the mic. I love so many things that you've said, and I love that you said that the people that you work with, they claim the fact that they are the choosers, and
no, they become the choosers.
They become the choosers.
Yeah,
in the process. I love that. When we were talking about that statistics of the woke, right, and we bring up your beautiful friend Michael, who lost his life so young. It's that tying in of both the healing and living the light that he doesn't have, right? So there's that sense of urgency that you have to get up and make a difference.
That's right.
But also thinking at the same time, what I hear from you is you're also fueled by that 94% or 95% that we have work to do to bring more joy, more love, more healing into the world. And isn't that why you and I are doing the work that we do?
Yes. That's why we love ourselves, love our life, love our passion. You know, my mission is to help change the way the world loves. And I was exactly in my client's shoes when I said, what am I doing wrong? And I said, I can't change what I don't know or understand. And I went to 7 therapist friends to figure it out with them, and they didn't know. So that's when I went to the research, the psychological journals, and I started putting all this information together. I'm like, oh my God, this is the connection. And I work with people of trauma. I worked in mental health. I had like 5 jobs most of my adult life because I had to pay my mom all that money. So I was in the mental health ward at a hospital for kids 5 through 19. I was in a drug and alcohol addiction center as a counselor, adolescents, and one from women from the prison system. I was in the schools at every grade level, kindergarten through college as a SAC counselor, student assistance counselor. We're the ones that handled the bullying, the trauma, the fights, addiction. I worked with the Crips and the Blood kids, up in North Jersey. So these were the tough kids. These were my clients. So I saw people from trauma all the time, and they all have the top 10 traumas that I need. And by the way, you all can get that free list on my website, rianamilne.com, and it's 4 love tests. One is the childhood trauma checklist. So you can check, what you might have had, but that's why I put the checklist together. So then my clients could look at it real simple and say, yeah, I had this, and this one. I'm there. Okay. And what's happening in your life now? This, and this. Then I could bridge it together. This is happening because of that. And this is happening. And then I knew exactly the solutions to help them heal. So it was just phenomenal how it all turned out. They always say spiritually, like when you're going through hard times, you never know why God's putting you through those tests, right? Why did I lose my friends? Why did I have a man that ripped off my mother? Why was life so hard? But it really brought me into my full passion of turning around to help others, which was my original goal with Michael and Corinne anyway. So the journey is a spiritual giving, so we have no regrets, right? I often get the question in my interviews, so what would you tell your younger self? It's like, great job, babe.
Right on, you go.
Yeah.
You know what
it wasn't like I wasted any time doing anything,
Nothing. You knew that this was a life that you had to suck every drop out of. And I just want to say, I deeply admire you for that, because it takes great courage and vulnerability to put both feet in the work as a goddess warrior that you are, because you are, my dear friend, a goddess warrior that is willing to fight the fight and be the bridge to healing and love. And I'm moved, I'm emotional about it. I'm very, very grateful that.
Oh, thank you, Kate. I mean, with your life too, you've been through a lot of hardship, and we don't know why these hardships happen to us. But that's when we have to dig deep in our soul and say, God has, working through us. We have a message for healing here. And then those who have passed, they become our angels and help us get this message out to the world. And they have always been my angels and my purpose, because I am living their life for them. And you will do the same with your son.
And I'm grateful to have met them through you.
Thank you. Likewise.
Truly. Oh boy. So I don't even know how to conclude, but I'm going to let you conclude. And I just want to say thank you to the audience and viewers and listeners for tuning into this very powerful episode of Master Your Life. I'm deeply grateful for you, Riana, for the work that you're doing in the world. And we will be sharing all of her contact information and show notes. Make sure to grab her books. It sounds like you should get both of them because they work in tandem. And I would say that I would go on the cruise, but I don't think I'm single right now. I think kind of I'm not. But I'm deeply grateful.
Couples can come too.
Yeah.
I love everybody.
I haven't said anything out loud yet. It's been a lot of years of being the single gal. So, but I'm deeply grateful for you actually highlighting and making real the journey for me and letting me be transparent and my own challenges as I've leaned in to be and lean into my greatness. So that's a good interview, and I am grateful.
Well, I'm so glad we're new friends, and we need each other in our lives. It's really great to meet other soulful, powerful women. So it's a real blessing that I'm here today. And thank you again.
Is there anything you'd like to finish up and say to the audience?
I just want to encourage our listeners, don't wait. Our life is short. It's time to really create the life you desire and have the love you deserve. And if I can help you, just go to my website, rianamilne.com, meet with me for a 90-minute discovery session. It's on a super promotion right now. It's worth $9.97. It's like on a super promotion. And then Kate is going to put down the Life and Love Transformation Healing Bundle. You get 2 free ebooks. One is about how to identify emotionally healthy love and how to find if you're in a traumatic, toxic relationship, clearly identified for you. And then reach out. I'm here to help. I answer all my emails. I may be global, but I'm very small town when it comes to helping my clients. So I'm here if you need me. Beautiful. And then if we all could just live in that power of choice, that we can choose the healing, we can choose the love, and so go forth and heal and love and prosper. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Is it time to claim your inner warrior? Please grab my latest copy of my book, Claim Your Inner Warrior, available now on Amazon.